NBA game of the weekend gets its game 2 right away. Clippers, Nuggets. Jokic, Van Gundy get a sequel. Knicks had that 21-0 run. What have the Pistons done for game 2 so that never happens again? Podium games, 2-1-1 theories, we got it all. Also, Stanley, Kalishaw's stars, still cursed by Kalishaw, and how the garbage time brawl repercusses in the Battle of Ontario. Let's go around the horn.
Duck points from Kalishaw.
They haven't won a game since he said they were the best team positioned to win the cup.
Did it.
We'll get to that. Western Conference, 2 lower seeds getting that game 1 road win. Golden State 95, Houston 85. All you oldies versus youngins predictors feeling pretty good right now. What the T-Wolves did to the Lakers, running and physicaling them off the floor, and whether Ant's point was a good move or bad move. The biggest beatdown in the history of beats and downs. Thunder 131, Grizz 80. And the game of the weekend, the overtime win for the Nuggets over the Clippers. We got the full Westbrook experience. Clippers couldn't get their last possession right. Jokic and Van Gundy would still be there haggling with each other if they weren't separated. I'm looking for the top takeaway from the Western Conference Game 1s, and I go to a man who's covered 2 play-ins and 1 Game 1, George Sedano, please. Good work.
Well, Tony, I'm going to say this. Of all the teams that lost their Game 1s in the Western Conference, I still think the Clippers are the team that can win the series, or that have the best chance to win the series, because I'm not eliminating anyone just yet. But I think that they had that game. And it's funny because if you talk to NBA coaches around the sport, when they play Denver, they will tell you if Aaron Gordon has a good game offensively, they are nearly impossible to beat. He had 25 points, 13 of those in the fourth quarter. By the way, one of the coaches who told me that, the guy on the other side, Tyronn Lue, he told me that earlier this season about having to play those particular guys. And look, you mentioned the Russell Westbrook experience. These are the highs and lows of Russ. For all the chatter around Russ, he still understands what it takes to play playoff basketball. And he's going to go in there and play his role as effectively as he can play it, something most people doubted over the last couple of years, but it has come to fruition here in Denver. And nothing says more about how much Russell Westbrook cares than how he battles on the boards, Tony. He's like 6'3 or 6'4 going up against 6'8, 6'9 guys. To me, that was a testament of how much this guy still cares and wants to win basketball
Denver's
games.
win.
But I do think
Go ahead.
But I still think the Clippers have the best shot of winning because James Harden was in terrible foul trouble. I think the Clippers are the deeper team, and I think as the series goes on, they will wear Denver
Tim
down.
Kalishaw, around the horn to you.
I agree about the Clippers as long as ex-Clipper Russell Westbrook doesn't keep rescuing the Nuggets. If that happens, they might be in trouble. But I want to focus on 95-85. You hear that score, and it's in a Rockets game, and you say the Rockets won Game 1 because they're a great young defensive team with depth. They can play with size. And instead, it was Golden State's defense that dominated that game. Jalen Green, 3 for 15 for Houston. That Warriors team, they just look different. I don't want to give too much credit to Jimmy Butler because then everybody's going to want to trade for him in the middle of a year, and we have to talk about that all the time. But Jimmy Butler, since they got him, you know the record. They win all the games since he and Steph Curry have started. But that is a different defensive team. That's a team with a different mindset. They really have Houston in a bad place.
Houston's got to want to get up and down the floor, right? And they were not able to in that matchup. J.A. Adonde, #1 takeaway from Game 1s in the West.
Well, Tim, that Jimmy Butler trade, along with the Luka Doncic trade and Kawhi Leonard coming back to rejoin the Clippers from injuries, has really put one of my old NBA maxims to the test, and that is that championship contenders usually show what they've got by January. That wasn't always the case this year, but that reverted when we saw the Lakers lose Game 1 to Minnesota, because this was a team that was terrible defensively at the start of the year, had a stretch where they was as good as anybody for a while defensively, and obviously the boost from having Luka. And we saw early on Luka was dominant, looked like everything you'd expect. The problem was it came at LeBron James's expense. LeBron, no points or assists in the first quarter for the first time in a playoff game. And Luka and LeBron never seemed to get it going together, and they couldn't create for others. LeBron only 3 assists, and Luka only 1 assist. So the Lakers looking like a previous worse version of themselves I think was a startling development, but it also shows that and reminds you that it takes 82 games to develop those true playoff habits and identity.
And Justin Tinsley, to you.
Yeah, instead of a particular game, I want to focus on a theme. And the two characters we'll focus on, Tony, are Jalen Green and J.J. Redick. And what they both learned over the weekend is that game 83 is a lot different from the first 82. Yeah. Tim mentioned Jalen Green, 7 points on 3 of 15 shooting. It felt more like 3 of 35. The Rockets out-rebounded the Golden State Warriors on the offensive end 22-6, but it just didn't matter because their offense was so erratic. Bad jumpers. I'm watching the game feeling my blood pressure go up last night, yelling at the TVs like, calm down, driving to the basket. It looked very much like Jalen Green, who is a future star in this league. It looked very much like his first playoff game. Whereas J.J. Redick, of course, he played in the NBA for a long time, but this was his first game as a coach. That Lakers offense looked stagnant. The defense looked lethargic, and they only had 15 assists as a team. That was their season low. They need more motion on offense. So the theme was, for me, for those two in particular, youth comes in many ages.
I want to get back to George Sedano. I saw your face during the Houston analysis from Tinsley, please.
Well, I just don't think Jalen Green is a future star. I think he's a very good player, but you're talking about a guy who has been inefficient most of his career. He had a very small stretch of time where he could be an efficient basketball player, but he's not someone to be relied upon per se. I don't know if that guy is on that particular roster just yet, Tony, because if they were, they wouldn't have been shopping Jalen Green at different points of his career.
I think we're on a Joe DiMaggio-like streak right now, or maybe AC Green type streak. I'm not mentioning the Oklahoma City Thunders. Another panel that refused, and all they did was set the record. I know the youth expect them to win, and they win, and you could have turned the game off about 8 minutes in, 9 minutes in. But that 51 points, you can at least mention it in a win in game one. We'll move on. The East, 3 blowouts. Knicks Pistons was the game I want to focus on, at least to start here. Detroit had that road game 1 steal in play. 9 minutes to go, up, and then the run by New York, more like a Tough Mudder. 21-0, binging the bong. Knicks able to hold on a little bit after when it still got shaky. So that win for New York, the Cavalanche in the Ty Jerome game, the Celtics defensively just champing Orlando, and Indy all over the Bucks. Your 4 games to nominate here, but what was the big takeaway from the Eastern Conference, Jay Adande?
Well, Tony, will you be happy if I talk about the number 1 seed in the East?
Please.
We didn't talk about the Thunder. But to me, the development was Donovan Mitchell understanding the assignment that he's going to have to lead the way if this Cavaliers team is going to get to the promised land. And he did so. Sometimes you have to find a way even when things aren't going your way. Missed his first 7 3-point attempts. What did he do? Got to the hoop, scored 18 points in the paint. 30 points, yes, Ty Jerome took over in the fourth quarter, but they were in position to win that game because Donovan Mitchell led the way, and that's the way it's going to have to be for them this postseason.
Justin Tinsley.
Yeah, I'm focusing on Pacers and Bucks. That game was never really close, and their strategy of letting Giannis go off but Blanket and everybody else was brilliant. The rest of the team shot 34% from the field, including Kyle Kuzma, who's just the 6th player in NBA history to play more than 20 minutes in a playoff game and put up zeros in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. But for me, Tony, while that game was never really close, you can tell those two teams don't like each other. You saw Bobby Portis and Miles Turner drawing. You saw Dame Lillard hop off the porch and start going to Halliburton and Siakam. He's back for game 2. Look, I don't want anything crazy to happen, of course, but I love me some playoff animosity and hostility, and this series has it.
George Sedano, Eastern Conference, game 1 takeaways.
Tony, I know Knicks fans may be surprised about this because of my history of ripping them over the years, deservedly so, in my opinion. The Knicks couldn't beat a good team all year, Tony. They couldn't beat teams that had won more games than they'd lost this particular season. Not only the way they beat the Pistons, it's the way they finished, particularly against the Pistons. The 21-0 run, Jalen Brunson got dinged up in that game and finished as strong could be. This is why he's probably going to win Clutch Player of the Year. So for me, and I think the Pistons will bounce back. I still think this is a long series, but I just think the Knicks, with all the stuff they've heard about, oh, the defense isn't as good, oh, they can't beat any good teams, that they came out and they took care of business the way they did and finished as strong as they did. I like the Knicks the way they finished this particular
Tim Kalishaw.
I am riding with the current sideline reporter on this panel, not the former one. I want to talk about the Knicks as well, but I want to do it because of this. Everybody thinks the Mavericks are the team that gave away Luka. Let's not forget, 2 years ago, they gave away Jalen Brunson because they got too cute with his contract. And then they didn't offer him what they could have. And then they were convinced, we just went to the conference finals. He's not going to really leave us to go to New York just because his father's on the coaching staff and his former agent is in the Knicks front office.
Yep.
So let's not forget any of that when we're talking about the Mavericks and the team that lost Luka. They lost Jalen Brunson. And as George said, he had 34 even while playing.
This show started as a regional show. All sports is regional. Well, there we go. Tim Kalishaw, very local in his answer there in the Eastern Conference. Let's talk tonight then. Adjustments and adjustments to the adjustments. Did the Pistons squander their best chance over the weekend? Same for the Clippers, could be said. Let's go around the horn to you, Justin Tinsley, on adjustments you think you'll see tonight.
I think the Knicks go up 2-0, and in honor of the 2-1-1 theory, I think this is the Mikal Bridges game. And go out west, rather, for Clippers and Nuggets. I have this as the Kawhi game. I think this is a game where he really, puts his force on the game, and I think he makes a statement in this game heading back to LA for Game 3.
One team that failed to close on Saturday, come back with a win. That's the Clippers tonight. George Sedano, which of the two teams that lost this weekend can pull an upset tonight?
Well, I think the Clippers will win, and I think that the Pistons will win for obviously different reasons.
You've got both.
I think that they're going to stay a lot. Yeah, I think they're going to be a lot closer to Aaron Gordon. I don't see Aaron Gordon getting 25 points. They're going to pay a lot more attention to him, close that airspace on him particularly. And then with the Pistons, I just don't think Cade had as good a game as he could have. I felt like he had to kind of see what that intensity was going to look like for the first time in his career, and I think he'll make the proper adjustment.
Kawhi Leonard was good Saturday. He can be even better tonight. The Clippers will win. I don't think the Knicks lose tonight. I think the Pistons start winning in Detroit and make it a series.
Yeah, Knicks and then Clippers. The Clippers did look like the superior team. They just got outworked and made some careless turnovers in Game 1.
Everyone feeling good about the Clippers tonight. Taking a break right here. Stanley Cup playoffs in by yourself.
Welcome back to Around the Horn, coming to you from the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17.
Up night. Canadiens, Capitals, Oilers, Kings get started. And 2 Game 2s, Colorado, Dallas, and St. Louis, Winnipeg. Weekend Game 1 saw Stars' misery continue, so it's now an 8-game losing streak dating back to last month. And Winnipeg's big rally. And not many close games yet with Carolina, Toronto, Vegas wins. Average margin has been 3. Battle of Ontario got feisty too. What repercussions from that brawl late in Toronto, Ottawa going forward in the series will be interesting. Ref reading out a CVS receipt to straighten it all out on the ice.
11, 25, 74, and 89 have 2 minutes for roughing.
Tim Kalishaw, what you buy, what you sell from the opening weekend of the playoffs here?
Tony, it's Game 1. Game 1s don't always mean a lot. I have not given up on the Stars hoisting.
Maybe it's the size of that Stanley Cup that is cursing the Stars.
I just don't see that they're done. They always lose the first game. They went to the West Conference Finals the last 2 years. They lost the first game in every series, all 6. Yeah. So they always lose the first game. Now, having said that, Mikko Rantanen, they gave him a lot of money and they traded a lot of stuff to get him. He's got to show up. He's got to score early tonight. They have to win tonight. They can't go to Colorado.
Yeah, they can't have a 9-game losing streak. It sounds like a great strategy. Jay and Donde, how about you?
Yeah, Tim, it's not just, though, that they've lost their past 8 Game 1s to start the Stanley Cup playoff series, but they've lost 8 straight right now, consecutive in a row at the moment in 2025. Things are going horribly wrong since you had them winning the President's Trophy. Let's give Colorado some credit, though. Mackenzie Blackwood, his first Stanley Cup playoff start, looked great in goal for the Avalanche.
Consecutive in a row at the moment. I've never gone there. Very nicely done, J.A. Justin Tinsley, takeaway from Game 1.
Yeah, if I'm a Carolina fan, I have to feel motivated by this 4-1 win that they had over the Devils. Look, this is a team that lost 7 of their last 8 in the regular season, and they were nagged by injuries, and now they've pretty much got their team back to where they wanted. And look, Carolina 5-on-5, they're damn near impossible to beat. And they're stingy on defense. They only gave up 24 shots on goal to New Jersey in Game 1. If you limit shots on goal like that, you give yourself a chance to play long into the postseason.
Sedano.
Tony, to me, it's the Battle of Ontario. I mean, come on, we haven't faced each other since 2004. So for me, it's absolutely that. I'm focused on that. And let's not forget that shortly thereafter, the teams went into completely different directions. Ottawa went to a Stanley Cup final. Toronto didn't even make the playoffs for 10 years. So to me, there's a lot of focus on the
and
Battle
a lot
of
of heat. What did we say with the Pacers and Bucks last segment that there's some feisty? Well, this time we saw it the last minute of a game that's already over, and now that's going to play out this whole series. I'm here for that. We'll move on. Buy or sell two. Jared Kelenic, home run trot for a ball that didn't make it out, and he was caught up at second. You've seen this before. What you don't see is what happened after. Manager Brian Snitker, when asked if he talked to Kelenic, said, "Was I supposed to?" Which led Ronald Acuna Jr. to post, "If it were me, they would have taken me out of the game," which flashbacks to 6 years ago when that precisely happened, and Snitker benched Acuna. Snitker on Sunday saying all plays are different, timing is different, but also said then he didn't see why Kelenic was thrown out and also didn't see Acuna's post. So he's pleading complete ignorance. Acuna, now with the team at the moment, still recovering from ACL surgery last year. What you buy, what you sell here, Tim Kalishaw?
I'm buying that it's okay. You know, Ronald Acuna, what he says is mostly correct. I don't like a guy being not with the team, injured, throwing out opinions on social media, and you know the fact that he did stay in the box longer than Kelenic. I don't know how we're grading those things. Jared at least started trotting before he got to first base. Acuna just stayed there.
I'm buying it. It's an issue if he really feels that there's mistreatment and a double standard out there. That is something that is going to have to be addressed face-to-face, not on social media. Also a reminder, he posts on social media because he is injured and not with the team.
Justin Tinsley?
Yeah, you know, airing workplace grievances out on social media is always risky business, but he may have a point here. Even when Acuna did that in 2019, he just stopped at first base. He didn't get thrown out. And also, too, here's this about Kelenic. He's batting 180. When Acuna is ready to come back, that job is still his. So count your days, my friend.
And Sedano?
Yeah, listen, I think I'm selling Snitker here in this situation. You didn't see it? Your job is to watch. Like, what else are you doing in that particular situation? So I totally get why Acuna is upset about it.
We'll have that be the last word. Horn came in quick there. Kalishaw, you had a chance to mount a charge and buy or sell three, but we never got to it.
I got some things to post here. It's okay.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't see what was happening at the show today, so that's fine. Thank you,
Post
Justin
about
Tinsley.
the stars.
Sedano, Adande. Showdown there. Cooper Flagg's announcement today. The suspense was killing us. It did not last. He's going to the NBA, as we all knew would be the case. Playing the comp game, I know it's not fair, and I know it's not the smartest thing to do. He's a unicorn in a lot of ways, but just humor me for a second, J.A. Adande. Play the comp game here for Cooper Flagg.
He's what Keith Van Horn was supposed to be. He's the prince who was promised, but a more athletic and a better defensive version of Keith Van Horn. But I see a lot of Keith Van Horn in this game.
George Sedano?
Oh, Jason Tatum. He's very similar at Duke. Both handle the ball as forwards. I think he's got higher upside defensively than Jason Tatum. But to me, that's who he is. He's Jason Tatum, maybe with a little smidge of Scottie Pippen in him.
Jason Tatum with a smidge of Scottie Pippen. I think the defensive side of that, I do dig that. I'll give the point to Sedano. Showdown 2, the no-hit bid that was no-no. Max Fried dealing for the Yankees. No-hitter into the 8th, at least we thought. But then the official scorer had a second thought and overturned a call in the 6th that they made. So we'll rewind to there. This was ruled an error. They changed it to a hit. So no-hitter was over just like that. Fair or foul for a no-hit bid to end 2 innings after on an official scorer changing their mind, George.
Well, I'm going to say foul, even though Max Fried didn't seem to care after the game, Tony. How do you do that 2 innings later? Like, I mean, maybe a half inning, an inning, max, 2 full innings? That's ridiculous. That should never happen.
Donde?
Yeah, it's actually the right call. So the ultimate result, they got it right. But what were they waiting for? The film to develop? Like, they could have done this a lot easier. You watch it, you look how fast he was running down. There's no way he would have beaten the throw, or they would have gotten the throw in time. Right call. Wrong
But it was
time.
the right call. That's your argument. I agree with you there. That was definitely going to be a hit off the bat. No way, especially when Fried just paused for a second before covering first. We'll split that score right now and make it Showdown 3 for the ball game. Reds 24, Orioles 2. Orioles manager Brandon Hyde gave us a quote of the year nominee after losing by 22. It's not what you want to do on Easter Sunday. J.A. Adande, what is it?
That is a good quote, but it makes you wonder if Hyde is the right guy to be managing on Easter Sunday, any day of the week going forward. It seems like he's not the guy to get them over the hump. They did have that 100-win season. What happened? Swept out of the playoffs. He's 0 for 5 in playoff games with the Orioles. You sure he's got the right guy to win in Easter, in October, any point of the year?
Coach Donna?
Tony, he also said it's embarrassing, and I would also say that about his own performance to this point of the season as well.
Wow, you guys are killing Hyde. Can I tell you personally what's something you don't want to be doing on Easter Sunday? You know what happens in the morning. There's a lot of chocolate being eaten. And at this moment, we are potty training Antonella. So we had a no-diaper situation later that day. That's not what you want to be doing on Easter Sunday. Not at all. Jay and Donnie, take the FaceTime.
Thanks for that setup, Tony. Nice imagery. You know, the one good thing about all those NBA blowouts, it gave you time to watch one of the best rivalries in all of sports. Canada versus USA women's hockey. It was the World Championships. USA prevailed in overtime. Exciting. It's the norm for these women whenever they get together. Last 12 gold medal games. We've had 12 overtime, 7 shootouts in the gold medals, 1 goal differential in gold medal games going back to Nagano in '98 Olympics. Unbelievable rivalry.
23.5-hour break. We'll see you tomorrow.